The St. Louis Area Food Bank presents the Missouri CSFP Annual Compliance Course. Welcome. The Commodity Supplemental Food Program, or CSFP, supplements nutritional need by providing USDA food to low-income neighbors age 60 and up. CSFP is a federal program, but administration varies from state to state. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the Illinois Department of Human Services run things differently. That's why we offer two CSFP courses. If you distribute senior boxes in Missouri, you're in the right course. We're glad you're here. DHSS requires all staff and volunteers who distribute senior boxes in Missouri to complete annual USDA training courses. We recommend that staff and volunteers begin their training by completing the Civil Rights course. We're all expected to be familiar with civil rights. Then, staff or volunteers who take the greatest responsibility for the Senior Box program should complete this course next. Program tasks vary quite a bit. For someone distributing boxes who never touches paperwork, details about taking neighbors through the application process aren't very relevant. For those of you taking on the greatest responsibility, it's okay to shorten the training for others. Let them know what parts they can skip. You may wonder, why does the USDA require us to take these courses every year? Their intention is to remind us of why we take extra care when serving USDA food. We want to provide equitable access to safe food for neighbors in need. Volunteers and staff may alter or drop required practices if they're unaware of why we do them.
Danny notices Steve shoving a storage rack tightly against the wall. Steve says, every night when Blue claims they pull out this rack and they never put it back right, it's a pain when I unload the delivery. Danny replies, did you know Blue's following a food safety rule to prevent pest problems?
Training gets everyone together on what to do and why we do it. The rules that guide the program are determined at the national level by the USDA's Food and Nutrition Service, the FNS. They secure the funding, provide the inventory, and regulate the program. The data the USDA collects informs them of nutritional needs and population changes. Data drives decisions about the kinds of food the FNS provides and how much they'll distribute. Usually there aren't significant changes in civil rights rules from year to year. DHSS reviews and updates CSFP income eligibility around February each year, and sometimes that's the only change in CSFP. Rapid changes have taken place at the USDA and at DHSS in the 2020s. Updates to official posters, forms, manuals, and training may only happen once a year, and often fall behind communicating these changes. Please, pay very close attention to communication from the food bank, and to version dates on all printed and digital documents. Don't hesitate to ask your partner relationship coordinators about the most up-to-date information and resources. As of 2024, CSFP partners take two courses, this course, and a civil rights course, to complete annual compliance training. The FNS provides a yearly allocation of USDA food for CSFP in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. They determine how much food Missouri will receive in proportion to the need. DHSS divides the food for Missouri among participating food banks. The St. Louis Area Food Bank receives a yearly allocation in proportion to the need in 13 Missouri counties and the city of St. Louis. The food allocation for CSFP partners is delivered by pallet, and volunteers pack the food into boxes. To make sure the Senior Box program is managed well, DHSS inspects all Missouri food banks. They check the St. Louis Area Food Bank's warehouse facilities and records as a matter of routine. The FNS directs what the food banks pack. The boxes provide food with vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron, because these essential nutrients are often lacking in the diets of low-income seniors. There'll always be grains like cereal, rice, and pasta. Canned goods include beans, vegetables, juice, and fruits. Proteins vary, but include items like canned meat, shelf-stable milk, or jars of peanut butter, and usually a package of cheese. Each box weighs between 35 to 40 pounds. The St. Louis Area Food Bank prints an informational flyer that volunteers add to each box. The boxes are stored at the warehouse until they can be delivered or picked up. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Area Food Bank monitors distribution, provides support and training, and locates new partners to participate in the program. That brings us to you, our Missouri CSFP partners. Missouri relies on you to find neighbors in need and manage relationships with them. Like the food banks, partners also store boxes until they can be delivered or picked up. Partners certify neighbors as first-time recipients, recertify long-term program participants, and document neighbors transferring locations or departing the program. We'll explain program standards and expectations in plain terms. Our topics today will be serving neighbors, certification lifecycle, site inspections, and caseload management. We'll link you to a course completion form, where you can indicate if you took the entire course or specific topics only. The course page will also link you to forms, posters, and other resources you'll need. As always, your partner relationship coordinator welcomes your questions. Let's get started. Serving neighbors. In this section, we'll cover some of the items on the Missouri State Site Inspector's checklist, mainly from the Food Storage Practices section. We'll talk about invoices and neighbor sign-in, but this section doesn't cover the details of paperwork or caseload management. We'll review receiving, storing, and transporting food safely and securely. Receiving begins with a handoff from the St. Louis Area Food Bank. Some partners pick up senior boxes and others set up monthly delivery. Delivery occurs on the same day each month between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. If this arrangement is not working out well, please contact your partner relationship coordinator to make adjustments. Delivery times cannot be guaranteed, but the food bank can try to narrow the delivery to mornings or afternoons or change your delivery day. Pickup days are Monday through Friday. There's easy access parking reserved in front for partners, just off the main driveway. For more specifics about how this works, contact your partner relationship coordinator.
Caring Basket is a fictional partner based on the St. Louis Area Food Bank's experienced CSFP partners.
Invoices document the handoff from the food bank to partners. The box count should match the quantity on the invoice. You should see 2 invoices arrive with the boxes. Partners keep one for their own records and sign the other for the food bank's files. The St. Louis Area Food Bank works hard to ensure food reaches partners in good condition. The invoice transfers responsibility for food condition to partners. When receiving, check, do the boxes look okay? Get in touch with the food bank immediately if you suspect pest activity or product damage at receiving. To meet USDA regulations, DHSS requires CSFP partners to have at least one volunteer or staff person certified in food safety. The St. Louis Area Food Bank offers ServSafe's course, Food Handler, training for food banking, free to all volunteers and staff. Combined, the course and certification exam take about 2 hours to complete. Some volunteers may have food safety certificates of other types or from other companies. These certifications are often more in-depth than food handler certifications, so if you have a current one, you may use it instead. Keeping food secure from damage, pests, and theft is worth the effort. CSFP replacement costs are high. Stand dry storage shelves 4 or more inches away from walls to prevent pests from nesting in corners. Adjust the lowest shelf to 6 or more inches above the floor for sweeping and mopping underneath. If you don't have shelving, request a pallet from the St. Louis Area Food Bank to keep boxes up off the floor to prevent damage in case of spilled mop water or minor flooding. To avoid contamination, keep senior boxes separate from non-food items. Keep cleaning or maintenance products in a different room or on a separate rack. If space is tight, keep non-food items on a lower shelf than food. Well-organized storage is not overcrowded. In dry storage, maintain at least 2 feet of clearance above boxes on the top shelf to prevent overheating. Boxes should not be stored in direct sunlight. Air circulation is also important to maintaining the correct temperature evenly throughout a cooler. To detect issues, log the cooler temperature routinely. File temperature logs with other program paperwork.
Carrying basket discovered some spoiled food in their cooler. Was their cooler too warm? Too crowded?
Did you know that the packaged cheese that comes with senior boxes isn't shelf-stable dairy? It's a common misunderstanding nationally. Cheese arrives refrigerated from the manufacturer, and food banks maintain refrigeration through delivery to partners. Refrigerate cheese at 35 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep cheese cool when making deliveries to neighbors.
To improve airflow, staff replaced a missing shelf and spaced the food packages a little apart. With a new thermometer, the temperature is easy to check and log.
Mold, bulging cans, or a nasty smell are warning signs that food has spoiled. Appearances aren't everything though. Some food looks and smells like it's in fine condition but turns out to be part of a contaminated or mishandled shipment from the farm or production plant. When that happens, the USDA will issue a food recall. A food recall attempts to halt the distribution of unsafe food before it reaches the public. DHSS informs all Missouri food banks when a food recall impacts CSFP. The St. Louis Area Food Bank will contact partners to explain the recall and any follow-up actions we'll need to take. Senior boxes don't have an expiration date on them. The food inside has all different expiration dates. Ideally, all boxes get distributed every month, but if there's a box left over, be sure to have a system in place to keep track of how long it's been in storage.
Emmy has 1 box left from the previous month's delivery when the new delivery arrives. She tags the leftover box to respect a basic food safety rule, first in, first out, or FIFO. When her first neighbor arrives that day, she pulls the box from the shelf that's been stored there the longest. Next, Emmy opens the cooler. She checks the dates on each package. There's 1 package left from last month's delivery, due to expire in July of next year. This time, Emmy leaves behind the product that went into the cooler first. Instead, she selects one of the newly delivered packages because they'll expire first, in June. She's following a related, but different food safety rule, first expired, first out, or FIFO.
The FIFO and FIFO rules prevent food from aging in storage. Leaving food on a porch during a hot summer's day won't keep the cheese cold or prevent a hungry pest from enjoying a snack. Partners' responsibility for CSFP ends when the food is securely in the neighbor's hands. The same security and food safety rules for storing senior boxes on site also apply to transportation and to drop-off locations. For those of you who are providing delivery service, thank you. You're solving a problem for neighbors who need a helping hand. Certification life cycle. DHSS refers to the person taking primary responsibility for certification paperwork as the certifying official. The responsibilities of certifying neighbors could be shared among several trained staff members or volunteers. Whatever titles they may be known by, the staff and volunteers who take responsibility for verifying and safeguarding neighbor information are required to take this section of the course, which will cover roughly half of what Missouri state site inspectors will review on their checklist. Others may skip this section. When you document your course completion, just check off the topics you completed. This will satisfy a DHSS training requirement to record the specific topics you learned about. Thank you. Imagine this scenario.
Isaac lives on a fixed income. He recently learned senior boxes might help his budget cover other essential needs. He locates a CSFP partner in his county and learns over the phone what he needs to do to apply. He collects some ID and arrives at Carrying Basket during their open hours. Emmy, a trained certifying volunteer, has already checked that caseload is available. She seats Isaac at a table, and they complete a CSFP application together. Emmy makes sure the application is filled out completely. She carefully checks Isaac's documents. Before Isaac signs his name, she reviews the rules, rights, and benefits Isaac is signing for. Within 15 minutes of his arrival, Emmy certifies Isaac's application. Isaac begins receiving boxes that same month. Thanks to Emmy's diligence, Carrying Basket has good, clear records certifying Isaac's eligibility for CSFP.
Let's walk through managing the certification lifecycle, from the first contact with a neighbor through 3 years of certification. Checking caseload capacity actually means checking 2 different capacities, your own and the food bank's.
Caseload at Carrying Basket is limited to a maximum of 50 senior boxes each month. They don't have storage space for more. Emmy knows her caseload is well below 50, they've never reached capacity. The food bank has a regional caseload capacity, she just needs to check that they're able to supply her with another box.
The USDA and DHSS set the St. Louis area food bank's capacity. This regional limit goes up and down, depending on how much food the USDA has to distribute. Allocations also shift based on changing populations across the nation and within the state. If either the food bank or a CSFP partner hits their maximum caseload capacity, DHSS policy says partners must add qualified applicants to a waitlist. The rules state that the waitlist is kept in order by qualification date. The first neighbor on the list has the right, when caseload is next available, to begin full participation or 1-month certification. We'll explain more about that later. If a certified neighbor leaves your service area, their eligibility can be transferred, using the transfer form shown here. As they arrive in their new location, caseload is assessed again. If they transfer to another Missouri partner at capacity, DHSS says they must be placed at the top of the waitlist because they're an active certified Missouri recipient. We'll come back to the topic of waitlisting neighbors when we talk about caseload management.
When Isaac called Carrying Basket, Emmy consulted current income guidelines from DHSS. Isaac lives alone and earns $15,000 a year before taxes or any other deductions. On the chart, Emmy looked up the program limit on annual income for a household size of 1. Isaac's stated income is below the current limit, so he's income eligible for CSFP.
We're prohibited from verifying income. DHSS prohibits CSFP partners from asking neighbors for their Social Security numbers, pay stubs, or other income data. To qualify for senior boxes, income-eligible neighbors need to be aged 60 or older and live within a CSFP service area.
I live just outside of town, says Isaac. And I'm over 75. Do I qualify for help? Based on what you've told me, I think you do. We should fill out an application together. Emmy asks Isaac to bring some documents to prove his identity, age, and address.
We're required to verify identity, birth date, and address. Partners usually review a driver's license or state ID card. If your neighbors have questions about what they can bring, refer to the full list of acceptable documents on the DHSS CSFP eligibility webpage. We provide the link on our course page under Related Resources. You'll also find the income chart there. Does this application form look familiar? If the form you're using looks different, check the date. Your version should be no older than 2022. When forms are updated, the links on the DHSS Forms webpage will also be updated. Updates to the course may lag behind these changes.
Emmy welcomes Isaac, and they sit down together to complete his CSFP application. Isaac states that he lives alone. Emmy checks no in the upper left corner and writes down 1 for household size.
Underneath the applicant's information are several rows where they could list household members, if any. This section is optional. A benefit to filling it in, it may help identify others in need of assistance. The USDA requires neighbors to enter an address. Get in touch with your partner relationship coordinator to explore options for unhoused neighbors, such as putting in a shelter address your neighbor may use. Neighbors check the box in the upper left corner to attest that they aren't getting a senior box some other way. It can't be left blank. Checking yes will disqualify the applicant for dual participation, a program violation. Pause before checking yes. Let neighbors know it's okay to make changes. Instead of completing the application, they may want a transfer form if they choose to switch providers. Neighbors may continue completing a disqualifying application if they want to. A neighbor may need written notice of disqualification to gain eligibility in a different program somewhere else. The income chart shows annual, monthly, and weekly amounts. Isaac is under the annual limit, but he worries because he's over the current monthly amount.
Emmy asks Isaac how much he made last month. $1,850. My kids gave me money. It was a gift. Will this disqualify me? He points to the monthly threshold of $1,632 on the income chart. This is your income before any deductions, right? Emmy reads the instructions and shows Isaac his total annual income divided by 12. You still qualify by average monthly income.
Neighbors can provide weekly, monthly, or annual income numbers, whatever's easiest for them. Partners may convert to average monthly income to demonstrate that neighbors with irregular incomes still qualify.
When Isaac is satisfied with her math, Emmy reads out the paragraph under changes must be reported. Just let us know if you add more people to your household or if your household income changes.
Reading the small print out loud may be helpful for anyone with low vision. This practice is generally recommended and is especially important for communicating the signature section coming up. The USDA collects race and ethnicity data from neighbor intake to compare with local demographic data. While we must ask program applicants for this information, neighbors don't have to provide it. This section, near the top of page 2, may remain blank. In April, CSFP program managers, like you, review and compile the annual total of racial and ethnic data for the USDA. The USDA process doesn't allow for missing data. If you're unsure how to proceed when neighbors decline to provide race and ethnicity, contact your partner relationship coordinator right away to discuss your options. The signature section is a good time to explain your pickup, delivery, and no-show policies. Then, read the entire signature section out loud. Neighbors check yes to acknowledge their rights, the benefits they're signing up for, and the responsibilities they're committing to. Both the neighbor's signature and the date are required.
Emmy provides Isaac with the HNSS flyer. He hands it back, saying, "Thanks anyway, I know about these."
Offering health and social services referral information fulfills a CSFP contract responsibility to conduct outreach for related government programs. DHSS wants to know if you offered neighbors this flyer or not. We'll get to that part of the application soon. The certifying agency section must be fully completed before the neighbor gets their first box. After verifying identity and age and recording the type of ID, do the same for address verification. Even if you use the same ID for both, write in the type of ID underneath each checkbox. Underneath the income-eligible checkbox, no proof is required. That checkbox shows the result of the neighbor's income reporting from page 1.
Emmy verifies Isaac's identity, age, and residency using his state ID. She checks identity and age verified and address verified, then writes state ID beneath each checkbox. Based on her conversation with Gavin, she checks yes after income eligible.
Use the certification section to catch up on checking caseload and providing your neighbor with the program outreach flyer. Don't skip these steps and check the boxes, or leave the boxes blank.
Gavin didn't accept the outreach flyer Emmy offered to him. Emmy marks yes after HNSS handout given to indicate she met the requirement. Emmy is experienced enough to have checked on caseload before Gavin arrived, so she checks that box. She's also experienced enough to pause for review before she marks applicant eligible. Emmy reviews the entire application, double-checking items that are often overlooked. Everything that supports eligibility should be fully completed.
Confirm the neighbor checked 2 boxes, one on each page. These checkboxes are tiny and neighbors frequently miss them. Next, check, did the neighbor enter an eligible address? Did the neighbor enter an eligible birth date? Is the income section filled in completely and does it demonstrate eligibility by income? Did the neighbor sign and date the form with today's date? Once you've caught anything that might have been missed, you're ready to complete the certification section. Check the appropriate box for the neighbor's eligibility. The period of certification asks partners to fill in the beginning month. There aren't detailed directions printed on the form, so the food bank asked DHSS how they wanted this section filled in. Some of their answers were not what we expected. The beginning month is the month your neighbor gets their first box. Certification has 2 possible beginning months, depending on your delivery cycle. Your neighbor could begin in the same month or in the next month.
Isaac is certifying early in the month, before delivery. Emmy still has time to adjust the delivery so he can get his first box that same month. After the deliveries arrived and been fully distributed, carrying baskets shelves are usually empty. In that case, Emmy would have started Isaac the next month.
Next, partners need to enter the ending month and year. The food bank asked DHSS to explain what they want here. Since the full period of certification is 3 years, it might surprise you that DHSS wants us to enter the ending month of the first, not the third, year. Enter the month and year that first-year anniversary verification should take place.
Emmy enters the month and year Isaac will receive his 12th box.
During the certification process, partners only fill out the top 2 dates under period of certification. During the ending month and year, verify your neighbor's address, income, and household size. Then date the lower left box. This date should match the one in the upper right box. The following year, repeat the process for 3rd-year verification.
Sometime in the month ahead of his first certification anniversary, Emmy will contact Isaac. She'll confirm his continued interest in the program. Then they'll verify his address, income, and household size as written on the application form. If there are no updates that adversely impact Isaac's certification, she'll date the 2nd-year verification box with the month and year to show they successfully completed the process.
The title of the certifying official can be as informal and simple as volunteer, but it shouldn't be left blank. Be sure to provide your signature as well.
Emmy marks Isaac's eligibility. She takes most of the responsibility for neighbor paperwork. When she signs her name, she also provides the title, Site Manager. Isaac, you're good to go. Your first box will arrive this month. Your certification lasts 3 years. We verify your information once a year. Just let me know if anything in your situation changes. Emmy dates written notice and certification.
Emmy provided verbal notice. When an application is certified, written notice is optional, because most CSFP neighbors don't need it. Emmy dated her verbal notice in the written notice field. The date is required to demonstrate notice was given. Written notice is mandatory when a neighbor is waitlisted or denied. The notification of certification status form, shown here, provides written notice for 3 common situations. First, certification communicates eligibility status. Either the neighbor is eligible, written notice optional, or waitlisted, written notice is required. Second, extension invites an active, certified neighbor to verify their continued interest and eligibility for the 2nd and 3rd years of their 3-year certification. Third, expiration informs neighbors in advance when their certification will expire and invites them to get in touch for next steps. Written notice is optional for extension and expiration. The monthly sign-in sheet should demonstrate that only active neighbors and proxies with certified paperwork on file are picking up senior boxes. Partner relationship coordinators recommend pre-filling the names of each active neighbor on the sign-in sheet for the coming month. As you check each application on file, review who's due for their annual verification, whose certification is expiring, and who was a no-show the previous month. Then, when neighbors get their boxes, have them sign and date next to their name on the sheet. This way, partners can easily see who was a no-show at the end of the month. We'll explain more about proxy authorization paperwork when we talk about caseload management. For now, when helping a proxy sign in, make sure they note yes in the proxy column. Every partner has their own way of handling identification. Confirm your process with your partner relationship coordinator. In Missouri, waitlisted neighbors must sign in on a DHSS document to activate their 1-month certification. Partners may make their own sign-in sheets for 3-year certified neighbors. If you've used the St. Louis Area Food Bank's sign-in sheet, the waitlist client column is misleading for Missouri 1-month certified neighbors. It's there to serve Illinois neighbors. Their process is different. New in 2024, the St. Louis Area Food Bank is discontinuing the practice of using one form for 2 states. To reduce confusion, Missouri has a new form without the waitlist column. This form is for 3-year certified neighbors only. Adverse action denies or ends benefits. Partners provide written notice to neighbors who are ineligible for certification, discontinued or disqualified. Here are some common reasons to use this form. Applicant checked yes to dual participation, disqualified before certification. Applicant is over the income limit, too young, or resides outside the service area, ineligible. Participant voluntarily departs the program, discontinued. Participant has been a no-show for 2 consecutive months, discontinued. Participant was mistakenly certified, disqualified after certification. Disqualifying a neighbor should be avoided, if possible. Adverse actions should never come as a surprise. Neighbors should be notified within 10 days of their application date if they are ineligible for the program.
A caring basket neighbor, Cassie, is moving out of state. Emmy needs to provide written notice to Cassie at least 15 days before her benefits are discontinued. Disqualified neighbors and expiring certifications also require at least 15 days advance notice.
The right to a fair hearing gives neighbors an appeals process to follow if they are denied benefits for any reason. Provide the appeals process information document, shown here, together with the adverse action notice to give neighbors the maximum amount of time to respond. The need for a fair hearing doesn't come up very often. This document explains the process for all concerned. Intake forms contain sensitive data about our neighbors. Although we're prohibited now from collecting Social Security numbers, in the past we were required to. That means that in older records we may still have Social Security numbers to safeguard against exposure or theft. All program documents should be kept on site for 4 years, 3 full past years and the current year. Make a copy of each form you provide to a neighbor to keep on file. If you have any questions about protecting data or how to keep documents organized, please reach out to your partner relationship coordinator. Administering the Senior Box program demands organized paperwork. A free software program from Feeding America is being configured to help. Watch for news coming from the food bank about service insights on Meal Connect. Certification is the final step of a successful application process for eligible neighbors, beginning a 3-year life cycle. Certification effectively puts an owner's name on a senior box for the next 12 months, which they are responsible to collect. Partners track neighbors, completing annual verification. At the end of 3 years, neighbors and partners fill in a new application to continue the program. We know certification doesn't always go smoothly. Your partner relationship coordinator is available to answer your questions from paperwork basics to how to handle tricky situations. The best advice they can give you will be tailored for your unique situation, and they look forward to helping you. Site inspections. We think it's helpful to know what site inspectors are looking for. Our course page will link you to all the DHSS forms. You'll see one called Monitoring Review, CSFP Distribution Sites. This form is the Missouri State Inspector's Checklist. All staff and volunteers review the Civil Rights Checklist items when they take the Civil Rights course. So far in this course, we've talked about safe food storage and neighbor certification paperwork. Later, we'll talk about caseload, waitlists, proxies, and 1-month certification. What's left? In this section, we'll cover program records as various site inspectors see them. If you're managing records for your location, this part is for you. To receive CSFP food, each site signs a contract that gives the St. Louis Area Food Bank, DHSS, and USDA inspectors the authority to conduct unannounced inspections. Site inspectors will have identification to show they are who they say they are. Please let all staff and volunteers know it's okay to let these inspectors in. Food bank. Partner relationship coordinators visit network partners routinely. Their goal is to provide program support. Health Department. The local health department is mainly concerned with food safety in the community. They check that local codes are satisfied. State. DHSS reviews USDA program compliance at Missouri sites. Federal. The USDA reviews USDA program compliance at any site where a USDA program is in place. Here's a summary of the most important CSFP documents. Partner CSFP contract with the St. Louis Area Food Bank. Neighbor applications and associated forms. Neighbor and proxy sign-in sheets for each month. CSFP invoice for each month. Temperature and pest control logs. Food safety certificates. Most recent health inspection report. Flyers and other materials that mention the USDA or CSFP, any nutrition education you create or offer on-site to program participants, and training documentation. Site inspectors expect that all documentation, digital or paper, is easily accessible on-site. Inspectors check documents from the current year and 3 previous calendar years. To save space, it's okay to discard outdated records. If the current year is 2024, all records dated 2020 and older can go. All records dated 2021 onward should be available for review. One commonly mislaid document is the CSFP Partner Agreement. If you're missing a signed, dated copy on-site while operating CSFP distributions, it's a little like losing track of your driver's license. If you want to keep on driving, you get it replaced as fast as you can. Reach out to the food bank to replace a missing partner agreement. It's like a license to distribute CSFP food, and all site inspectors want to see that. In the certification section, we mentioned that partners have 10 days to respond to a neighbor application. Site inspectors check on our compliance with this rule. They compare the date the neighbor signed the application with the date the partner gave written notice. The dates should demonstrate that the neighbor was informed of a decision within 10 days. Food recalls don't happen very often. When they do, partners need to research neighbor records to identify seniors who could have received recalled food. Organized record keeping is critical for partners to be able to respond quickly, particularly for Class 1 recalls because they're potentially life-threatening. Invoices include information such as delivery dates that help track recalled food or any other quality issues. Because they're related to food safety, site inspectors will look to see if they're systematically retained and stored where volunteers and staff can easily access them. For example, they may be stored in chronological order in a binder or a filing cabinet. Site inspectors check temperature and pest control logs. DHSS does not provide forms for logging, leaving it up to partners to create their own logs. The St. Louis Area Food Bank provides a temperature log for partners. Some partners use this form already. New in 2024, the food bank created a pest control log for partners. If you aren't using one already, this log may help you get started. The ServSafe Food Handler certification lasts 3 years. The certification date is on the certificate, but the expiration date isn't. Be sure to contact your partner relationship coordinator if you need help getting certified or checking on expiration. Some volunteers may have food safety certificates of other types or from other companies. Contact your coordinator to get copies of these certifications on file. This works both ways. Like the food bank, partners must also keep food safety certificates on file. If you're missing certificates, you can request copies from your coordinator. Site inspectors check to see if food containers, shelves, and floors have been wiped clean of food spills. Food storage areas should be easily accessible and well lit. Inspectors are likely to ask to review all health department inspection reports. Some health departments are reactive, conducting site inspections only when investigating a complaint. Partners under reactive departments may never have a report. Other health departments are proactive, conducting health department site inspections routinely. If you have any health inspection reports, file them as you would other important CSFP records. Site inspectors check to see if required program posters are displayed where neighbors can easily see them during program hours. There are 3 that all CSFP sites display. The first poster is titled, "And Justice for All." We talk about this poster in civil rights training. It's provided by the USDA, and the contents are the USDA's non-discrimination statement. The second poster is titled, "Participant No-Show Policy," shown here. The third poster is 2 pages to be displayed together. It's the same appeal process information document that partners give neighbors together with an adverse action notice. Posting this notice advises the public of the neighbor's right to a fair hearing in the event benefits are denied or discontinued for any reason. Please provide a copy to anyone who requests one. By law, CSFP partners at sites where religious activities like worship, instruction, or proselytizing take place must offer USDA food distribution in a separate place or at a separate time. To make it clear that neighbors can participate in religious activities if they wish, but not as a condition to receive food, DHSS provides the written Notice of Beneficiary Rights flyer for religious organizations to hand to neighbors during the application process, delivery, and pickup. This flyer should be displayed as a poster at CSFP sites where religious activities take place, to inform neighbors of their rights in writing before they participate in CSFP. In the past, when a neighbor objected to the religious character of a site distributing CSFP food, partners referred them to other sites so they could continue to participate in the program. Per the USDA, as of July 2024, all neighbors receive referral information. DHSS updated the written notice of beneficiary rights to contain the required referral information, shown below. Please post and share the updated flyer, linked to the course page. By law, all print and digital materials that mention CSFP or USDA food must contain the USDA's non-discrimination statement. For example, the St. Louis Area Food Bank describes CSFP on their website, to educate the public about senior boxes. Below their program description is the full non-discrimination statement. Web pages and posters have space for extra words, but social media posts or printed flyers may not. If there isn't enough room, at a minimum we should include a short statement, such as, "This institution is an equal opportunity provider." Neighbors see this short statement on the monthly CSFP newsletter the St. Louis Area Food Bank includes inside each senior box. CSFP news usually contains a recipe and a short explanation of the nutritional benefits that come from eating various foods. To promote mental acuity and provide a bit of fun, there's a puzzle or a game. The newsletter shown here also has some outreach about other programs seniors may qualify for. Site inspectors may ask if partners provide any education on site in addition to this newsletter. If you do, be prepared to share your materials. Training records have changed over the years. Right now, there's no need to capture signatures or use a DHSS form. If you train staff or volunteers to meet government regulations, record the name of the training, the names of each attending person, and the date the training took place. DHSS asks that CSFP partners record the topics they covered for CSFP training, because the content can be customized or shortened. In addition to reviewing training attendance records, site inspectors may also ask to see any training materials you use, such as a PowerPoint, printed document, or online link. The request covers the nutrition education we mentioned earlier. As always, contact your coordinator with any questions you may have about records and site inspection. Caseload management. In this section, we'll review the basics of managing caseload and related paperwork. The top priority is communication. The goal is getting boxes to all qualified seniors, but also to avoid having unclaimed boxes piling up and aging in storage, a common pitfall with this program. We'll use our fictional partner, Caring Basket, to provide an example of how partners can rebalance senior box inventory after neighbors make unannounced changes.
Caring Basket received 46 boxes in early December. By the middle of the month, 3 boxes hadn't been collected. Emmy, the site manager, called Allison, Tom's proxy, to find out what was going on. "I don't know what to tell you," Allison said. "Tom went into the hospital late in November, and he isn't home yet. How long can you hold his box?" Emmy explained that Tom was eligible to receive his December box as long as he got home for at least one day of the month. "What happens if he doesn't come home until January?" "Let's just take this one day at a time for now. I want to keep Tom in the program as long as I can. Keep in touch." Dee had been regularly picking up her box each month, then stopped after October's pickup. Emmy called Dee several times in November and December, but no one picked up her calls or returned her messages. Until Emmy could determine if Dee had been home in November, Emmy wanted to continue holding her box. Meanwhile, December's delivery arrived, including another box for Dee. Emmy visited Dee's address and learned from a family member there that Dee had unexpectedly moved into a nursing home at the end of October. Emmy connected with Dee, who voluntarily ended her participation in the program.
Dee's participant status changed from active to inactive in October. Now Emmy can change Caring Basket's caseload and release her hold on Dee's boxes. Tom's status remains active. Emmy made good decisions. DHSS rules take neighbors like Tom and Dee into consideration. Life changes can upset communication and have unpredictable outcomes. That's okay. But to manage caseload, Emmy needs a plan for handling leftover boxes. Eligibility rules mean Dee's unclaimed boxes can't go to her family or to food pantry neighbors. Extra boxes go to waitlisted neighbors because they're already CSFP qualified. Partners at Caseload Capacity keep a waitlist for neighbors who'd like to join their senior box program when caseload count drops below their capacity limit. Caring Basket has a capacity of 50 neighbors, which they've never reached. How would they start a waitlist? When neighbors don't participate for 2 months, no-shows, DHSS says to end their benefits. These neighbors aren't disqualified, the monthly routine just didn't work out well for them. When they're discontinued, they may be interested in joining a waitlist. Partners call neighbors in the order they joined the waitlist. A neighbor who agrees to collect a leftover box signs in on a separate form, shown here, to activate 1-month certification under Missouri's policy. Their signature is required to acknowledge they collected their box as a one-time arrangement.
In the past, Lee had trouble getting through his boxes every month and became a no-show. Emmy suggested 1-month certification. There's no obligation, but also no guarantee that there'd be a box for Lee when he most needed one. More than a year has gone by, and Lee is now at the top of Emmy's waitlist, so she called him first. Lee picked up Emmy's call and said he'd be glad to collect a box. When Lee arrived, Emmy read the statement that he was signing to. As Lee signed his name, Emmy asked him if he'd like to move off the waitlist and return to the program full-time. Lee shook his head. "I just don't need much." No one else on Emmy's waitlist responded to her calls. December ended with 2 leftover boxes, 1 extra and 1 held for Tom. Allison called Emmy with an update as soon as Caring Basket reopened in January. "Tom's doing better. He was released on December 29th. Can I pick up a box for him today?" Allison arrives right away and collects Tom's December box, but says she'll wait to collect his January box until later in the month.
Some seniors can't lift their box, or don't have transportation. They may have helpers who collect their box and deliver it. Helpers, or proxies, should be over 18 and have their name on file in the proxy authorization form, shown here. Neighbors may change their proxy anytime. Partners who provide delivery service should contact their partner relationship coordinator to make sure their proxy paperwork is set up properly. Be sure to ask about how to handle identification. Some policies that were relaxed during COVID times are being enforced again, now that lockdown has ended. Tracking changes, caseload dropped from 46 to 45 for November and December, but deliveries continued at 46 boxes each month, resulting in 2 extra boxes. Lee's 1-month December certification took care of 1 extra box.
In January, Lee declines 1-month certification, and again Emmy gets no positive response from her other waitlisted neighbors. It's time to communicate with the St. Louis Area Food Bank and rebalance the inventory. Before Emmy can contact the food bank, a new neighbor, Isaac, arrives to apply. Emmy quickly certifies Isaac to begin the program in January. As Isaac is the first January neighbor to arrive, he collects the extra December box, emptying the shelves. Emmy contacts her coordinator about Dee's departure from the program and Isaac's new certification. Her caseload remains unchanged at 46, but Isaac's January box doesn't need to be included in the upcoming delivery. Emmy works out a one-time delivery reduction with the food bank to balance her inventory, preventing boxes from piling up and aging in storage. Real-world caseload management can be more complicated than our Caring Basket example.
Watch for danger signs. If you experience any of these situations, ask your coordinator for help. Boxes are aging in storage, so that some are more than 2 or 3 months old. Boxes overflow dedicated food storage areas and pile up in unsafe or unsecured spaces. Serving neighbors changes from tracking neighbors individually to stocking a fixed amount, distributing boxes first come, first served, and hoping it works out. This practice is not allowed. Ask for help now. No senior should be told they've arrived too late in the month to get their box. Emmy managed caseload in several ways. She rotated her boxes, following first in, first out rules. She based her monthly caseload on each neighbor's known participation individually, then followed up quickly and persistently with no-show neighbors. She tracked and updated ownership of each box. She cleared her extra boxes using 1-month certification and reduced delivery. She communicated her caseload updates and delivery requests to the food bank. Next steps. The St. Louis area food bank partners distributed nearly 1.8 million pounds of CSFP product to Missouri neighbors in fiscal year 23. That's 1,798,280 pounds. Thank you for all you do. Congratulations! You've completed your annual Missouri CSFP training. Each program document we talked about is linked to the course page for your convenience. You'll find links to the Civil Rights course, posters, the St. Louis area food banks forms, the DHSS forms webpage, and contact information. Get your questions answered. Please follow the link provided to document your course completion. Thank you for partnering with us.
This course was brought to you by an AmeriCorps service member.